Okay, okay. Thank you. Good day, good day. Greetings and thank you. Welcome to Save Our Ancestors radio show. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Tavis Sanders, also known as Red Tail Hawk. I'd like to also introduce our co-host, Meredith Marshall, also known as She Who Seeks Knowledge. You got to say hi to the mic.
Hello, everybody. I know. I was just waving to our live. We
Okay.
broadcasting live on Facebook, too, if you want to hop on and see us on Save Our Ancestors.
Okay, so this is our first broadcast, and so please bear with us as we learn this craft, but we think it's something very important. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank She Who Seeks Knowledge, also known as Meredith Marshall, for the land acknowledgement. We're broadcasting from G-Town Radio. You can check them out at WGGT LP, Philadelphia Broadcasting, that is, and you can check them out online at gtownradio.com. So with that, and before we really get into the show, why don't we let them know what the Save Our Ancestors project is and why we're doing this show.
Sure. So the Save Our Ancestors, Acknowledge Our Lands, excuse me, is a project that started after learning of the improper care and unethical acquisition of human remains and indigenous artifacts by the University of Penn and other stakeholders. We will be using this show as a platform to educate and advocate for the rights of the Lenape people, including the recovery of all human remains, control over artifacts, acknowledgement of our presence by the state of Pennsylvania and the city of Philadelphia. If you are interested in learning more, please visit our Save Our Ancestors page on Facebook. And it is a group, and just, hit that join and answer a couple questions, and we will let you in.
Cool. So that's a lot. That's a big mission right there.
Yes,
right?
it is.
But who better to step up than the people that are actually representative of that community, right?
Right.
And I guess we're going to be sharing a lot of information. Hopefully we're going to be sharing some educational things, right, to bring people together so that people can learn more about your people, right?
Yes.
And so with that, before we really get into the show, I guess they need to know who we are and, why is it we are the people to be able to speak on this subject. So let's get a little bit of background information on Meredith Marshall.
Yeah, so my name is Meredith again. My indigenous name is She Who Seeks Knowledge, and I was given that name by my auntie in a naming ceremony. And I'm very proud of my name. I tried to live up to it.
Well, what tribe are you?
I'm Nanako Lenai Lenape.
Okay, and for individuals that may actually have heard about this tribe for the first time, give them a little bit of information, where y'all are, a little bit of the history of your tribe.
Yeah, so we are the Turtle Clan from New Jersey, southern New Jersey. There are, we have our sister tribes, Wolf Clan up in North Jersey, and then Turkey Clan would be down in Dover, Delaware.
Okay.
And we're all Lenape, different clans of a Lenape tribe.
All right, cool. I noticed that you said New York, Jersey, and Delaware.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're broadcasting from Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so what's up with that?
So the state of Pennsylvania doesn't recognize any tribes in the whole state. We're definitely here, but they don't recognize any tribes in the whole state. I think we're one of the few, if not the only state
that recognizes no Native American tribes at
right.
all. Interesting. However, and I think we talked about this before, you are from the area.
Yes, I'm from Philadelphia, born and raised, Overbrook area, West Philly. I'm a Germantown resident now, and I love it up here.
Okay. Shout out to G-Town.
Yeah, shout out to G-Town. And it's just, it's beautiful up here. There's lots of parks and greenery. Also a lot of history.
Right, which we're going to be talking about. Actually, a little bit of that history
coming up
in the show, right? All right, so with that said, again, you said You were born in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
You
Born
were
in
raised
Philadelphia.
in Philly. You
Raised in
graduated
Philly.
from high school from Overbrook.
From Overbrook High School.
I
Yeah.
heard that. Okay. You still live in the city.
Mm-hmm.
You are a tribal member of a recognized tribe.
Yes.
However, the state or the city doesn't acknowledge you at all. As a matter of fact, quite a few times I think I've heard them say that there are no more Lenape.
Or we're extinct.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, yeah. However, you're here now. Right?
I think I'm sitting here. I'm sitting down.
Yeah, and so, thanks to community radio, we have a platform, for you to be able to say, no, I am here. Right. And it's not just you. I'm assuming that, you had a mother, right? So now it's two of you that are tribal members of the tribe.
Well, there's actually several of us that do live in Philadelphia. Originally, we would be from, this area, and like we said, Jersey. The majority of my family lives in South Jersey and Delaware, extended family and tribal family. But there are a handful of us in the Philly metro area. Okay,
right. And actually that's one of the reasons why we began our project and started this show, because, from my perspective, they are able to ignore us as we, are nicely asking them to sit down, to talk to us, to respect our space and acknowledge who we are.
Right.
And so thank you, for giving voice to your peoples and, being able to step up on this platform and start to share that information. But, let's get a little bit more information about, what gave you that voice that, has you sitting in this chair right here, right now.
Right. So initially, I was asked by Indigenous Education to lend a hand with talking to University of Penn, because I am a tribal member of a Lenape tribe, and just dealing with the artifacts and bones that they have in their possession. I don't believe they're displayed anymore, but definitely still in their possession, and they have made money off of human remains. So I just felt like it was time for me to speak up and not be so quiet and shy anymore.
Okay.
So I've been working through that this year, and I'm, happy with my progress.
Right. And because this is a real thing, right?
Right.
You did actually, and along with Indigenous Education, you did reach out to the court and to University of Penn.
Right. So we sent a letter to the court and to the University of Penn. We did receive a official letter acknowledging that they received our letter, but it's been pretty much crickets since then. So, we're pushing forward. Got a lot to deal with.
Okay, right.
And try to make right. And, everything's not going to happen overnight. So,
Right. Interesting enough. And I don't know, you may not even be aware of this. So some of the requests that you and the organization asked the university and for the city to do, they actually stated that they would do, including, pulling out all of the Native American artifacts, stopping the display of any human remain at the moment until they figure out more about whether it was donated for that purpose or not.
But it was just found on their land built while building the school.
Right. Yeah. Which is again, we'll get into that in a little bit. However, my issue with them is that because the state and doesn't recognize any Native communities that reside within its boundaries, they normally deal with a tribe that's 15 states away, right? 2,000 miles away from what's really happening here right now, and allows the voice of those indigenous communities that still reside in the area to lessen our voices as a collective. And so I wanted just to acknowledge that while they did change some of their issues and they did fulfill some of your requests, they aren't communicating directly to us, and that's a problem, right? And that's why we're doing this.
Right.
And so, and then we come to what happens in Germantown, right? And how we came about.
Hold on.
Okay, I'm listening.
Before we get into that, Who is Tavis Sanders?
Ha ha ha. I think it's time for a break, y'all. Nah. Okay, yeah, so Tavis Sanders is...
What is your connection to Philly?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we could start there. So, yes, I'm actually born and raised in Philadelphia. Also, I'm a product of Southwest Philly and then West Philadelphia, Overbrook, right? We ain't going to talk about the year we graduated, but we actually know each other from high school, which is an interesting story to tell. I'll tell that in a minute. With that said, my family actually is from the Virginia area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're Browns from that North Virginia. They call that the Northern Neck region, and we were removed off of our lands after they sold it to a French king or some kind of French monarch.
Okay.
And so when they moved us, our identity changed to colored, and so. Basically the same story, although a different story on my father's side. That's from the South Carolina region, still indigenous, Wally on that angle from the South Carolina Barrier Island region.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been there. I got cemeteries from the 1500s, and that's a whole another story to tell as far as the indigenous community is concerned. But my connection to Philly and this and indigenous history, information, and culture is that I guess along with my mother, we started a nonprofit about 15 years ago. I don't want to age myself. Yeah, I don't want to age myself too much, right? 15 years ago, along with my mother, to share, to educate. And I'm using this as a way to expand that platform to be able to reach more audiences where they sit in. And I hope that the information that we share collectively will inspire other indigenous peoples to step up, to connect with us, and to give us as a whole more of a push in the fight to have our rights respected, right?
Absolutely. So with that being said, you want to take a break now?
Yeah, we could take a break.
And when we come back, we'll talk about how the show came about.
Okay, sounds good, right? All right, so give us a moment. We'll take a break, listen to some really nice, smooth sounds from one of my brothers that created some music for us. And then we get back, we get started. All right. Cool. Welcome back, and thank y'all for tuning in. We are listening to the Save Our Ancestors on G-Town Radio. That's G-Town. That's Germantown Community Radio 92.9 FM, WGGT, LP Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com. I am definitely going to get better at that. Again, this is our first show, but thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that y'all are entertained so far, but along with entertainment, we're going to give them some education, right?
Right.
And so, let's talk about what's really happening with us as a community here, as an indigenous community here, and some of the issues and why, sometimes out of some things that may seem like barriers, we can find some positive things to start to do some real work with.
Right. So to go into how our show became a show, we were having a fire circle for the Eclipse a couple of months back at Loudon Park in Germantown. And, we posted and advertised. So we had a reporter come out to cover our event from G-Town Radio. While having our event, we had the caretakers of the Loudon Mansion call the park rangers on us 3 times. And on the 3rd time, they sat in the park and watched us burn sage. So the issue was, to rewind a little bit, they said that we couldn't have a fire circle while using a fire pit like we do at Lemon Hill. And we have permission to do that. Although we don't need permission to practice our culture, it's within our rights, and we have laws that protect us, international law that protects us. So we agreed that we would not have the lit fire, just to make it easy, because the workers don't know, the laws, and, it's kind of like screaming to somebody that has no idea what you're talking about. So we just said, okay, we won't have the fire today. But then we had the park rangers called on us 2 more times for just burning sage inside of a show. The 3rd time they came, they proceeded to sit and watch us the whole time. So we offered them some Eclipse glasses, some water, so they could at least see the eclipse themselves, because, they were doing their jobs. I don't think they wanted to be there. They actually were kind of laughing a little bit with us, that it was ridiculous. Also, the permission kind of went back and forth of someone saying that we could do it, and then they kind of circled back around and then said that we couldn't. And with all that being said, the people that live in the Loudon Mansion have a fire pit and a barbecue behind their house. So for me, the issue is, you want to protect this historical property, and Germantown is full of historic landmarks and history that's built on top of our ancient and older history. So what's, saying is one more important than the other one. And again, we're not new to the fire circle. We've been doing fire circles for 5 years?
Yeah, 5-6 years.
Yeah, so we know the rules that the city has in place for us to have the fire circle. But again, we don't even have to do that if we don't want to. We're trying to play nice. Right. So maybe you want to play the interview?
Yeah. Let's play the interview, and then we can get back to that discussion.
Yeah, so this is the interview from Jill. She came out to cover our event, and this is what she recorded.
Hello, this is Jill from G-Town Radio. I'm out on the street today. It's April 8th, 2024, and you guessed it, it's Eclipse Day. I'm here at Loudon Mansion. I'm hanging out with a group of folks here that we're going to be watching the eclipse. I'm talking with Travis and Meredith. And so, hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Tell me what's going on here.
Okay, well, we're part of Indigenous Education, a local nonprofit here in the city of Philadelphia, and we do a lot of cultural, traditional, and educational workshops, presentations, and events for local Indigenous and Native peoples. And today, some Indigenous cultures, use the eclipse as a time to come together. And today, we're having a fire circle on top of what was once a Lenape mound, historically, but is now called the Loudon Mansion.
Oh, beautiful. That's really terrific. And Meredith, what's your involvement here?
Hi, I'm a board member of Indigenous Education. I'm also a tribal member of the Nanticoke Lenape tribe of New Jersey. And we're just out here enjoying the weather. We wanted to have a fire circle. Unfortunately, plans didn't go as planned.
As it does.
But we are working towards, some of the barriers that we have for practicing our culture in public spaces as a Native American and Indigenous people.
Great. How can people find out more about your organization?
Yeah, you can check us out online at indedu.org, or you can check us out on PhillyCam every Tuesday morning at 6:30 a.m. for our weekly television show. And also, once a month, we are on WURD for our every Friday between 7 and 9 on the last Saturday of every month.
Last Friday
of every month. Excuse me.
Oh, thanks so much for talking with me. I'm really happy to be here today. We are at Loudon Mansion watching the eclipse. I'm here talking with Sage. Hey, Sage, how are you today?
Hi, I am well. I'm just like so, I don't know the right word to say, but I am overwhelmed with such an excited enthusiasm about what's going on as above, so below. Like, I'm feeling it.
What's the eclipse mean for you? Do you have a spiritual connection with it? Is it purely scientific?
It's both with me. Again, I was informed that it's been 200 years, or it will be 2044 when this comes again. And I'm just honored because I know I'm alive right now and I'm able to be a part of this moment. And it is incredible. And I just feel different. I just feel like it's something amazing going on.
So what part of the eclipse are we in now? Have you been able to see any of the progression?
Yes, it looks like a quarter of, not even half yet, like a quarter of just the start, but it was just amazing to look up using the glasses, with glasses on, and to still be able to see it. Awesome.
Great. Thanks so much for talking with me. Hi, I'm here at Loudon Mansion watching the eclipse with a nice group of folks in Germantown. I'm here talking with Noelle. Hi, Noelle. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jill. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
I'm very excited to be here.
Excellent.
It's a pretty awesome experience.
Excellent.
Tell me, what's your connection with the eclipse?
My connection with the eclipse is pretty much manifesting and meditating. I've learned to come really fond of astrology, having a really cool connection with the moon. So this is like a high energy time as far as the moon and the sun and astrology in general. So I'm out here to pretty much absorb all of that, doing some meditating and some manifesting as well.
I'm talking with Renee, and we're watching the eclipse together, and we were just talking about how different it was from the last time something like this happened. Renee, would you like to comment?
Oh, yes. Like I said, this is just so exciting, but what I don't really like is what's happening today, which didn't happen even 10 years ago, is the monetization of the eclipse. This is something that I think people should get excited about. And if you are in the path, that is great and fantastic. But to spend $500,000 to go see this awesome event, I think I don't like that part of it.
Eclipse tourism.
Yes. Eclipse monetization makes it, and yes, I don't like that.
All right. But here we are in Germantown, in the place that we live, and we're watching this incredible experience together.
And it is awesome. Yeah. It is awesome.
Terrific. Thank you. Hi, this is Jill at G-Town Radio. I'm here at Loudon Mansion, and I'm watching the eclipse. I'm actually watching the eclipse right now. I have my glasses on. I'm gazing up at the sun. It's clear. The clouds have cleared for a few minutes, and it's a pretty awesome and spectacular sight. We're about an hour from the total eclipse, or here in Philadelphia, the partial eclipse, the totality of it. And there's in the bottom right corner of the moon, there's a nice kind of curve that's been kind of bitten out like of a cookie, if you can imagine that. I'm here talking with a number of different folks about what the eclipse experience means to them, and it's been a really wonderful experience. Thanks for listening.
All right. Thank you, Jill. Thank you very much for that information, and thank you for showing up too. Right, it's all about the community, and that's why we need local community radio, so we can reach out into the community and actually touch the people that are inside these spaces and using these spaces.
Right.
So, so let's get back to the Loudon Mansion, right?
Right.
And a few things that I like to mention before you get started with what's happening now, right? Mm-hmm. And first thing I like to mention is that the Loudon Mansion sits on top of Lenape Mound.
Right.
Right. Mounds are ancient structures built by Indigenous peoples here in North America.
Right.
And so when you say that historical, the house that sits on that land is historical, it's not just the building that's historical, but then also the history of that land for colonials, right? A lot of people gave up, sacrificed their life, in the war that happened right there, right? And
yeah, it was I think the Battle of Germantown.
Yes,
was right there.
Yeah. A lot of people passed away there, and again, before that, it was used as for Lenape things, and they acknowledged that
it was a lookout point.
A lookout point. Okay, interesting too. It still has a great look,
a great view, by the way.
And as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they said it was one of the highest points in Germantown, for you to see across the city. Right. And so really important site to not just the state and the city, but also your people.
Right.
And so...
Well, that's where it gets into like, well, who is one history not important and the other one is, because we dealt with that our whole lives in school. It's the one-sided history of just, ours is important and yours is not. So we want to put it into that, know, because it could be both and or yes and. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
So, and, just so that the audience can be aware of some of the issues that are present and why this particular instance is kind of like a smack in our face as an Indigenous community, is that our fire circles are sacred and traditions, and we've been doing our best to revitalize spaces and places for us to be able to reconnect and have our children find a sense of pride in being able to do that,
and also share our culture with the community, because our fire circles are open to everyone. So it's not just for us; it's also a way to give back and to share with our community. All right.
And so, as far as the rules are concerned, there at Loudon, they stated that they are to have no fires because they want to protect the historic building there.
Right.
We were about 50, 60 yards away from the building.
Probably more, at least maybe 100.
Okay.
We were like in the middle of the park.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, with that said, we were far enough away for a fire that's 100 yards away to be more of a concern than the barbecue grill in the fire pit
in the backyard.
In the backyard, less than 10 feet away from the property.
Correct.
All right. Yeah. And as far as Indigenous cultures are concerned, you practice your sacred ceremonies with your tribe on a number of occasions. Am I correct?
Yes.
You even practice a naming ceremony, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I have my naming ceremony.
Okay, and I know that those are sacred practices to various tribes. Nonetheless, you have to be aware. You have to know protocols and things of that nature.
The
correct?
Etiquettes, yes.
Yeah, right. And I'm going to assume that the etiquette that you practice and that has been passed down to you is a little bit more safety orientated than having a barbecue grill 10 feet from a house, right?
Indigenous traditions in general are more caring of the planet, in the earth and the environment than the government will be any day. So, of course, our traditions are going to be protecting the earth. For me, it was the caretaker that would walk back and forth pretending to pick up trash, but we cleaned up before we started and also cleaned up again when we left. So, Just little things. Walking with a empty, what was it? Like she had like a dolly or a little cart thing, picking up nothing, and just looking.
Right. And that's the harassment.
The harassment, that kind of passive aggressive, like, oh, I'm just doing my job. I'm cleaning up the trash that's not here.
And so we began to, and so G-Town Radio, Germantown Radio was gracious enough to, not only, share our event with the community, but also offer us an opportunity to open up and share some of these issues, and not just that, but also to teach, because that's really important.
So that's the good thing. We got a radio show, so they was trying to quiet us at the park, but now we going to be on air, and we going to make even more noise. So get ready. You're going to see us.
Yeah. And so those just two of the issues that we have. As far as, the city is concerned, the city, the state is concerned, and the University of Penn for that matter.
Right.
And the first thing is that we're here, right? And y'all won't even acknowledge that we're here. I know that you reached out to various departments inside the city government, and so have I, right? Recognizing this in the administration.
Cindy Bass, we've emailed you several times. Parks and Rec, we've emailed you several times as well. Shout out to Curtis Jones.
Okay. Yeah, right. For those, we do have a number that are, definitely stepping up.
Stepping up, yeah. Right. And this is not his district, and he has been very supportive.
Jakurski too, and so I want to acknowledge that he all the way down to Southwest Philly.
Yep.
And, they offering support.
Correct.
And where the other people at? I mean, we talk about.
I mean, that's the
inclusion.
$1 million question, right?
Yeah, interesting enough. This city. You know what? Let's take a break here because we have so much to talk about. We want to make sure that we stay on task, so that we can make sure that we teach them a little bit of something about Philadelphia before we go, and then we can let them know what we got coming up in the next few shows, try to get them to stay tuned and support our cause, right? And so let us take a break here, and when we get back, we'll get more into what the city can offer us in our community, and maybe ways that you can assist us in promoting the Indigenous agenda, Indigenous culture, Indigenous traditions.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll be right back.
You're listening to Germantown Community Radio 92.9 FM, WGGT LP, Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com.
That was great. You're going to do that from now on. Because obviously I'm not the one to do that. we learning, and thank you very much. You're listening to Save Our Ancestors on Germantown Radio. And right before the break, we were talking about some of the issues that indigenous peoples in particularly the indigenous Lenape, have with communicating with various city officials, with the departments, with the school, right, that's building on top of our bones continuously, things like that. But there are things to look forward to, right? There's always things that we can do to give ourselves hope, right, and provide a platform or a pathway for our children to have better opportunities, right? And so let's get into some of the things that that we can do, right? And, well, let's get into why these spaces are important first.
Well, quickly, I would just like to let people know, all of our listeners right now tuning in, we are having a fire circle at Lemon Hill today, starting at 6:30. So we just want to give you some time to get down there if you want to show up. So Lemon Hill, 6:30. Typically, we're out there till 9:30, but it's the solstice and the full moon, so why not? We'll be out a little later tonight. So come out and hang with us if you're free.
Interesting enough, that's a really great segue for what we really want to talk about. So you said Lemon Hill, right?
Lemon Hill.
We got Laurel Hill, right? What's the place where we were having
the waterworks, the Fairmount
Waterworks, right? We have the Art Museum is actually
on the tallest
on Fairmount, right? And so we have all these hills and mounts that are important spaces for Philadelphia, right? Let's talk about what mounds are, right? Why are these things important to us, and how they were used to really establish Philadelphia in the first place. So, the University of Penn, are you familiar with the name of the tribe that existed where University of Penn is right now?
That's Kawakanot?
Aronimik,
right.
Right. And so Aronimik is that was the grounds of a Lenape tribe pre-colonial times. Those grounds eventually was transferred into the almshouse, right? And the almshouse was a hospital that served poor black and brown peoples in the area, for hospice and medical care. Interesting enough, right? And I was wondering, because that's an indigenous principle, right, to help people, know. And so I thought it was really interesting that the first caretakers of that land, after they forcibly removed the Lenape peoples from that land, still was involved in doing indigenous practices, right?
Taking care of the community.
Right? And it became a burial ground again, for a lot of the indigenous and blacks that were dealing with, the plagues. Remember Philadelphia had a huge plague, and then a lot of just issues, right? University of Penn acquired that land, and they started to transfer the land and redevelop it. And that's where the issue comes in with how they acquired a lot of the artifacts and the bones that they then used to monetize their educational system, right? And their hospital systems, right? And their commercial systems, right? Placing, so all of that to be said, these spaces and places that indigenous, that the Lenape people held as in their heart in Philadelphia was all like kind of removed from you. And so I just want you to say, okay, recognizing that they tell people that you don't exist, although you are here right now, and with the things that people have been saying to you with respects to, you stepping up and being the voice, your tribe talking to you about being thankful for what you're doing. How does that feel, and what do you ask people to do not just for for your community at large?
So, we don't. Well, I should say I can speak for myself. We are not looking to just come and take over, but we would like to be acknowledged, and we would like some land back for us to hold ceremony without issue. Just being acknowledged, number one, I should say, that's most important, because everything that we're looking for will come along with the acknowledgement. And just having some spaces to do what we would like to as far as ceremony without being harassed.
That's a great start, right?
Yeah.
I remember at one time they wouldn't allow y'all to drum.
So it was actually illegal to practice any type of Native American or indigenous ceremony. I believe 1976 was the year. So like we had our powwow a couple weekends ago. We all would have been arrested or, I don't know what the penalty was for it, but it was against the law to do that.
I could tell you what the penalty was. In the 1800s, we know what the penalty was. I don't know.
1800s, we had a price on our head. But speaking to the 1970s, which was not that long ago at all, and I'm saying I think it was 76 because it was close to when I was born.
Okay, right.
So that's recent history. This is not ancient history or things that have happened long ago. It's not. We're not a fairy tale. I always tell people, like, I'm not a unicorn. I'm right here.
Right. And we here, because that's a issue up and down the East Coast.
Right.
And so we have to acknowledge that people don't disappear. Right. And whenever you hear someone say, well, they were removed, and you have to ask yourself, humans are humans. Did all of them really move? You know what I mean? You ain't
absolutely
had
not.
that one cousin that's like, nah, I'm going to go the other direction.
So, I will say by a lot of us not leaving, that makes us indigenous because along with being tribal, we've never left our ancestral homeland, where the ones that have gone to Oklahoma, technically by the laws, they are not indigenous anymore. They are Native American and, or tribal because they are no longer living in their ancestral homeland.
And that actually affords you rights that, other groups, tribal groups don't have.
Exactly.
And that's something that we definitely need to talk about because, interesting enough, as a part of our educational acuteness, right? We are taught by our oppressors. We are taught by those individuals that usurped their authority and took our lands and ignored all of our treaties, right? And today we are the byproduct of surviving that Holocaust against us, right? The surviving the continuing genocide that is being perpetuated on us from my perspective.
And paper genocide.
I mean, Pennsylvania still doesn't acknowledge, a Lenape individual, yet alone a family or group or a tribe, right? If that's not the continuation of a genocidal practice, then what is? And so, that just kind of messed me up. I kind of lost my point because I just thought about that. Like, wow, that's kind of
mind blown.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. And so we are doing this to say, okay, here's some information for us. Here's an individual. Here goes some locations that are important to us, and we're saying to the larger world community, listen to us, come and share with us, and come and find out, how you can assist us in, not becoming a lost part of colonial history, right? 100 years from now, we don't want our children to think that they were just some random collective group of people that just happen to pop up here, right? Our history is not the history that is taught with respects to Black America, yet they make us and they force us into that Black identity.
Well, when I have people ask about, they're like, oh, I have Native American in my family, or I don't know, where to look. I always tell them you got to start with names and look through the census records and try to find your family member or ancestor and see where their race changed. You want to kind of look for where it said Indian, then it typically went to mulatto and then colored and then Afro-American, so over the years you can see the same person and see their identity change, 3-4 times. And that's how you can kind of begin putting the pieces back together to find your ancestry, and we're the only race anywhere that has to prove who they are, for the government. And then, typically it's about a quarter, but if you're less than that, then you kind of can no longer say, I'm Native American or get, your tribal ID. And, that's a whole nother issue.
Right. And you know what? That's interesting. Let's really talk about it because it doesn't get talked about. Definitely not a part of our community, and I'm sure the rest of the world may not be aware of that issue, which is that to be acknowledged, to be recognized by the government as an Indian, you have to follow the protocols. You have to apply for that status through a process that they developed,
right?
And we can showcase through history why that may not be the best thing to do, right? To have a group of people that stole their land, then go and say, okay, these are the people that are allowed to be identified as that group. I'm sure people can think about a whole bunch of issues that might come up with that, right? However, that is the case, right? And so with that being the case, those groups that are allowed to be identified gets funding from the federal government, and the other groups don't get funding, right?
Right.
And it's just as simple as that.
Right.
And so now in today's world, as far as the Native American population is concerned, if you get funding from the federal government, then you're a real Native American. And if you don't get funding from the then you're not a real Native American.
Well, that's true and not true. I will say it's true because that is the law, but it doesn't make you not Native American. It's just how the government will, and a lot of people will look at you. Like, our tribe is state recognized, and we are working on our federal recognition currently. But it's almost like a class, like if you're not federally recognized, it's like, oh, like you're not good enough, And I know my own family tree, I can trace back to the 1400s. So, and that's just on paper, where I know most people can't go that far.
Right. So it's not so for you it's more of a situation where and again, I guess that's for me too. When are we going to start to acknowledge that this has been a way to divide us, right, and to keep us separated? And we need to figure out ways that we could come together and promote productive things for our communities as a whole, right?
Well, I think we're doing it now. Having just talking about it is bringing awareness to it, and it's the beginning. And having this opportunity to be on the radio is, going to educate a lot of people.
Right. And you know what? And so we're getting close to the end of our show. And so before we go, I really want to thank some people, right? And we want to acknowledge individuals and organizations that are assisting us, that are acknowledging us inside the larger, culture of Philadelphia, and just say thank you to them for, acknowledging, supporting us, but then also to let the community know that we can do this, right? And we need to continue to add on those supporters and those individuals that's willing to support, educate, spread awareness, and show up for us, right? And what I mean by show up is like, when y'all do a land acknowledgement, there are Lenapes that are in the area, right? And again, I know that real quick, I know you do land acknowledgements a lot, and you will show up for your friends, your family, organizations that are doing things productive for the community. So it's not all about the money for you, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah, but
I think I've only been paid. No, I've never been paid. Have I been paid?
I think you was paid once.
No, I don't think they did.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten paid for a land acknowledgement.
Okay, so you
Maybe
do that.
one. I think one.
And so you do that because you want to do that.
Because
right?
I want to. Yeah.
So,
But I could start getting paid.
right. All right, and so let's shout out a couple organizations for helping us to get here.
Yes.
Right. We definitely want to shout out Germantown Community Radio.
Yes,
right?
Germantown Community Radio. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to mention Bread and Roses. I've just finished up their gift project, and I feel like they helped me not to be so shy and to speak up for things that are important. So shout out to Bread and Roses. I love y'all so much. And then Philadelphia 250.
Ah, right.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely want to give a shout out. They're actually the reason why I'm here in Philly, right? And they actually are, doing their best to offer a space for, Native American community at large, but specifically the Lenape. And so we definitely want to shout out the Philadelphia 250. If you haven't heard about them, you will. So you might as well go check them out right now, because we're hoping to engage with them, right? And
yeah, so quickly, Philadelphia 250, they are the org that is doing the quincentennial,
the semi-quincentennial
celebration in 2026, and we are happy to be a part of that. So stay tuned.
Right. And so, again, I know you had mentioned it earlier, but we are going to, let's talk about what some of the shows coming up is going to look like before we wrap it up. So, we want to have segments where they can learn about.
So going forward, maybe on the show after next, I'm going to do a little medical minute and talk about plant medicine and indigenous medicine. Do your own research, of course, but I will give you the traditional use of a plant or herb. Have a little moment for that. We will be having musical guests on as well, and local government on. So stay tuned. Our show, we just wanted to introduce ourselves today. So, yep, no guests today.
Yeah. And also, if you have events, if you're in the Philadelphia area, and definitely if you're in the Germantown area, you have community events coming up, we want to share that with our audience so that people could show up to your space. So definitely make sure you reach out to gtownradio.com or check us out at the Save Our Ancestors Facebook page.
And Instagram, Save Our Ancestors, Instagram too.
Yeah, and we'll be having emails, websites for you coming up. I have make sure that we have that information for you in the next show. And so, we got about 4.5 minutes left. Yeah. And that went by pretty fast. How you feel about our first show?
I feel good. We got the equinox going on, the full moon. So, I feel like the energy is really good, supporting us going forward, and I'm just excited to do the next one.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm excited too. I think that it went well. We can clean some things up. We're going to be adding some components to it to help us keep the flow going. Definitely looking forward to hearing what some of these local politicians have to say, right?
Yep.
And definitely looking forward
Shots
to
fired.
we're definitely looking forward to meeting the community, and so we will be out here, right, at different festivals. We definitely will.
Lemon Hill tonight, 6:30 till about 9:30 ish. You know how we do. Ish.
Yeah, right. And definitely make sure you bring your water if you do come. Make sure you drink your water. Make sure you check up on your elders. You are, first of all, let me say thank you. Right? We want to say thank you to She Who Seeks Knowledge, also known as Meredith Marshall.
And thank you, Tavis.
Thank you very much.
Red Tail Hawk.
Yeah, we'd like to say thank you to Germantown Community Radio. We're broadcasting on Germantown Community Radio. That's 92.9 FM, WGGT-LP Philadelphia, and online at gtownradio.com. Definitely, again, check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Save Our Ancestors, and we hope to check you out next time. on Save Our Ancestors Indigenous Radio.
And what song we playing?
We're going to just leave out. Oh, did you want to play your
let's
creator?
Play Santee. We playing Santee Gold, Creator. She's from Philly.
All right. Y'all have a great one.